We are live with the Ghana National Fire Service following the death of a 6-year-old girl after Thursday's crash involving a school bus and a tipper truck at Airport Junction on the Accra Mall GHOne stretch in Accra. Also, questions are being raised over the conduct of Ahafo Southeast Member of Parliament Yakubu Mohammed after a video circulating on social media appeared to show him referring to a schoolgirl visiting Parliament as his wife.
You're very beautiful. When you grow up, I'll marry you. She's my wife.
And also, Parliament approves the reintroduction of road and bridge tolls through a fully electronic collection system through a public-private partnership concession between the Ministry of Roads and a special purpose vehicle to be established by Rock Africa Limited. And in business, new 2026 cocoa board law set to give a major boost to cocoa production nationwide. And on international front, South Africa pushes Africa migration talks after xenophobic violence. We have details of these and many more coming up shortly. Stay with me. I'm grateful for your time this morning. The news is coming to you live from our Platinum studio here in Accra, and it's also streaming live on Facebook at GHOne TV. This morning, a deeply troubling video circulating on X shows Ahafo Southeast MP Yakubu Mohammed singling out a young schoolgirl during a visit to Parliament and referring to her as his wife. The footage, which has sparked widespread concerns online, shows the MP interacting with the girl as she toured Parliament with her schoolmate. Now, questions are being raised about the severity of such comment towards a child, especially in a parliamentary setting. Here's a video in question.
I'm an MP in Ashanti region. I just want to encourage you all. You know, I used to come here when I was schooling. I would see the MPs, I would be happy for them. I had a dream, and today, standing here as an MP is one of the dreams that we've worked for. Like he said, in fact, what's your name? Huh? Okay, you're very beautiful. When you grow up, I'll marry you. So, she's my wife. Huh? She in future, she will also be an MP, and all of you as well will be somebody in future. I wish you the best.
Yakubu Mohammed is the Member of Parliament in question, and he joins me on phone for a conversation. Yakubu, good to have you on the program. I'm sure you've seen the reaction of this video on social media.
Good morning to all your viewers and your listeners. I saw the video. In fact, it's a video I made, and I woke up this morning and I've seen it all over. I think it happened on the day we were having the media budget. It's about a week ago. These are students who came from Tamale, it's Sanarugu. So what actually happened was that we have a long playing relationship with Dagombes. I'm a Mosi by tribe. Whenever we meet Mosis, Dagombes, we have this joke that we create, irrespective of where we find ourselves. So on that day, I just walked in, and there's an MP, there's an Argo MP. He was like, oh, this is a Mosi MP. Oh. That's why he told the student, this is a Mosi MP. And his constituency is a rural constituency. Then I got in and I was like, you're from Tamale, eh? They said yes. I said, are you all Dagombes? They said yes. And I said, do you know I'm your master? And all of that. So we created those jokes and I advised them. And out of that context, I think it came by that. It's unfortunate. I don't think this is something I would want to clarify. Though traditionally, Moses and Dagombes have these jokes. And it came out of that. It's unfortunate. I want to officially apologize to the public.
Yakubu, hold on. I'm sure we'll definitely give you some time to apologize, but I need to understand what really happened. You're saying that this issue happened a week ago.
Yeah, the day of the media review.
And with your explanation, with this explanation you're giving me, my understanding is that it was a joke.
Complete. It was a joke between Moses and Dagombes. Anybody who understands the tradition of Moses and Dagombes, wherever we meet, we joke. As we speak, even if I go to the Yana's palace today, and I go there, any Dagomba man who sees me, the first thing they will see will create jokes. I can even go and pull his beard and all of that. Every Mosi man and a Dagomba man understands this. Aside everything, it's something we do.
But as a member of parliament, with your level of exposure and your level of understanding of how the system works now, to some extent, how people are woke now, why did it have to take you a week for a backlash should happen, for you to perhaps reflect and see that maybe perhaps the statement you made may have been inappropriate? Even if you thought it was a joke, because that's your intention.
Like I'm saying, personally, aside that day, it's just this morning, I am seeing the video. And like you said, because of that, I have issued an apology. I'm going to send it because I'm just seeing it this morning. And I take full responsibility because it's a minor. And aside all the cultural jokes, my position as a member of parliament should supersede my heritage or my cultural decisions. It's a decision that I think is unfortunate, quite unfortunate. I would not even want to defend this. It's a lesson that I've learned, and going forward, I'm sure some of these things will be more careful because you grow up getting used to certain things, and you get to a position you need to understand that things have changed. So it's something that I feel it didn't happen well. I don't want to defend this. I don't want to defend this.
Right. You sound quite remorseful. But before you go, I want to find out if you've been able to. I don't know if there's a way you could reach the girl and her family to perhaps offer an apology. I mean, you have intentions of rendering an apology, but maybe you want to make it personal and get to the family of this girl in question. Do you have plans of doing that?
Yeah, so I've decided to call the MP because these are students from Sanarigo. I have decided to call the MP and probably get trips to the school and possibly if I'll be able to reach the parents and probably do the right thing. Though, like I said, this is unfortunate. This is not something that I would even want to defend at any point. It's a minor. And it's quite unfortunate.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to speak with you. And that was Yakubu Mohammed. He's the MP in the center of all this for North Southeast MP. And he just apologized for his statement against the schoolgirl a while ago. But let's hear what people have been saying on this particular matter in the Ashanti region.
I believe he was just being playful. He was just playing because I remember when we were young, we had older men saying, "You're my wife. When you grow, I'll marry you." So I believe he was just playing. He later said the girl will grow to become an MP. So he was just being playful.
Well, I think he was just joking. That's what I personally believe, that he was just joking. Except that some jokes are very expensive because we're dealing with little kids. And when you're dealing with little kids, you should be a bit mindful of what you say. Because it's going to be in the head, in the mind of this particular girl. And others are going to think about it. Oh, what does he imply? This girl is, say, 7, 8 years. You're going to wait till she grows up. But then you'll be in your elderly stage. So it's the case that you're going to marry her even if you're that old and the age gap is very big. It's not fair. But I personally believe he didn't mean anyhow at all, any malice. But the point is that you must be a bit mindful when you're talking about kids. And especially because they came to Parliament. Talk about Parliament. Talk about burning issues that concern the kids.
The statement said by the MP, I think, is something that is below the belt. This is something we have been echoing for a very long time. And this unnecessary thought of, marrying at a very tender age, it's not something that we should encourage. These are issues with some, religions and some cultures. But I feel in the interest of every, well-being Ghanaian and citizen, we are supposed to protect these people, especially the very little ones. And for me, I think this is not the language that an MP should speak.
MP no enye bone kwaso opese nka o motivating nkwala no na nkwala no so ebenyini suade eye panyipa na ebia MP no the choice of words that moment na na so hu nkwala no eye omo anika ne awoawa so matimi so mbe ba behwe parliament no mo hwe sane mpanyifo ni si esuade be mpanyipa omo bu man no ntinya ne bone kwaso na krom ha de asem bi wo ha ya na bi wo ha mo pe views ne ade na ya drag na akoye kakraka na yo teachers bi kura wo ha o kire akwala wa de wo secondary school primary akwala betimi abenyina be nurse ejuma akese lawyer ne ade bonse the teacher na ware ne ye hu bebre nti no Ghana for kakra meka ne se mo ma ne nkofom na nye bone kwaso medamas.
Let's have a conversation, and Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright Opia, joins me on Zoom to have a conversation on this. Good to have you on the program, sir. I'm sure you've seen the video. What is your initial reaction when you saw the video?
Well, the discussion between the kids and then the MP were going on well until certain statements were made. Though it's a passive one, you cannot take for granted the influence of that statement. And looking at what Parliament is and what it does, there are certain things that cannot just be said in passing. So whatever it is that was said, for me, I thought it was unfortunate, and something needs to be done about it.
When you say something needs to be done about it, what exactly do you mean?
I think that one, the MP must issue apology to the children, stating the intention behind it. And then also, if possible, Parliament needs to take action to be able to develop a certain framework that will make MPs have engagement with children who come to Parliament to have this kind of discussion. Because looking at where he's coming from as an MP, he cannot just say anything for us to just take it for granted because of issues of child marriage and all that. It may not be the case that he himself wants to be engaged in those kind of things. But because he's representing a constituency and looking at where he's coming from, his statement may have an influence over the things that other people want to do and all that. So it is not something that we have to take for granted. So Parliament must also begin to look at developing certain framework in terms of how MPs can engage children when they come to visit the Parliament House and the things that they have to discuss with them. I think that it is very important for us to look at it from that perspective.
Well, Mr. Pia, before we spoke to you, we spoke to the MP and he apologized and he also claimed that it was a joke. But is this not concerning that, I mean, such jokes have been normalized in the system? What do you say to that?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I made a statement that, fine, he has apologized, but it must be official. I think that he must to issue an express statement condemning what he did without any kind of reservation, because it's not, even if he had that intention, we, from our angle, think that his statement can go beyond him as a person. So it is not about he creating a joke. It is how his statement can have influence of other people. And he being a member of parliament, there are certain things that you cannot take for granted in terms of your engagement with children. If it's an adult environment and the decision is that it is something that both of you must be mutually in agreement to carry out, that one we perfectly agree. But you are engaging with children, and anything that governs the development and the welfare of children is passed by parliament. So you have to be aware of the very law that you have passed and how you need to engage children, especially when it comes to their dignity and privacy. So it's not just a matter of saying that I've apologized for that matter. It's a joke that I've created. But if you go beyond you leaving the very foundation of parliament and the thing that they have passed and how they want us to look at children and protect them, we think that his apology should be expressed and then it should be without reservation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for making time to speak with us. That was the Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright up here. Away from that, a 6-year-old girl has died following Thursday's crash involving a school bus and a tipper truck at Airport Junction on the Accra-GHOne stretch in Accra. The child is reported to have succumbed to her injuries at about 8 p.m. on Thursday, 30th July, while receiving treatment at the police hospital. She reportedly sustained severe injuries in the collision. The crash occurred when a tipper truck with a registration number GN967325 rammed into a school bus reportedly belonging to Ask God Preparatory School in Ashaman. The other children injured in the crash are receiving treatment at various health facilities. Personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service and the National Ambulance Service responded swiftly to the scene, rescuing the victims before conveying them to the hospital for medical attention. Authorities are expected to continue investigations into the circumstances that led to the crash. Let's engage Assistant Divisional Officer Ken Alex Nate of the Ghana National Fire Service. Good to have you on the program, sir. Can you confirm the current situation or condition of the remaining children?
So thank you very much for having me. As we speak, I'm currently at the 37 Military Hospital, and I can confidently say that by God's grace, the other kids here are in a very, very stable condition. The other small little girl that had an open wound on her thigh is being prepped for surgery as we speak. She's in very stable condition. The other one with the head injury is also hopefully might be discharged soon. 2 kids have already been discharged, and 8 are still currently at the hospital being attended to by the officers.
We want to know details of how this accident happened. We understand that the bus was driven by the headmaster. Is that correct?
That's what we've also heard. That's what we've also gathered. And from what we gathered also, the preliminary findings indicate that the driver of the tipper truck was on high speed. And as he was on high speed, he tried to do an overtaking. Mind you, this is a double axle tipper truck, and you know, with these trucks they use the air for brakes, and it's not easy to brake big trucks like that. And so I'm pretty sure, but then again, subject to the police department final confirmation, I'm very sure that due to the load in the vehicle and the speed at which he was traveling, he might have lost control and ran into the stationary bus that was parked by the side of the road.
I don't know if you can confirm if the said driver is in custody now. Do we know where he is now?
For now, we don't know where he is.
He fled the scene?
Yes, it's alleged that he fled the scene. We don't know if he fled the scene to escape mob justice. We are hoping that wherever he is, he will turn himself up, and own it up so that we're able to take him through the law, or if not that, I trust our colleagues, the police, to track him down and have him arrested.
Let's talk about how the parents are taking this. The child who died yesterday, have you been able to reach the parents, and how has it been? And what about the parents of the other children who are still receiving treatment?
So after yesterday, the parents had come, and obviously they were devastated about the unfortunate development. We spoke to them, and we tried to find reason with them. At 37 also, it was just one of the child who had been put in POP on the right leg, and she was crying and crying and crying. But so far, the parents around I believe they are now a bit relaxed because the kids are all now, by God's grace, in a stable condition now.
And we can confirm that it's 11 children on admission, 10 because one died yesterday.
Yes, and even as of now, 2 have been discharged from the 37 hospital. We are expecting a few more discharges also today. So we have just 8 on admission at 37 currently.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Ken Alex Nate. He's the Assistant Divisional Officer with the Ghana National Fire Service, giving us updates on the accident, devastating accident that happened yesterday. Away from that, government has accepted a number of recommendations by the Constitutional Review Committee following the submission of the final report to President Mahama. Addressing government's position on some recommendation, Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, revealed that the implementation of the reviews will be deliberate and time-bound.
Recommendation to extend the term of office of the President from 4 years to 5 years, with the term of Parliament extended to correspond with this. Our thinking is practical. Under the current 4-year cycle, the early months of every administration are consumed by transition matters, and the final year is largely consumed by elections. A 5-year term provides a more realistic time frame for the formulation, implementation, and assessment of government policy. Government has accepted that the size of Parliament be capped, and we propose a ceiling of 300 members. Now, the current membership of Parliament is 276. So of these, the 276 will be elected directly in constituency elections like we already have. The remaining 24 will be elected or selected through proportional representation among women, persons with disabilities, and the youth. The government takes the position that all district chief executives should be elected. Creating a distinction between voting and non-voting districts carries significant political costs, and of course social costs as well, and may be perceived as discriminatory against citizens of non-voting districts. Under the government proposal, the President will nominate 5 persons, 2 of whom shall be women. Out of the 5, 3 shall be shortlisted, 1 of whom shall be a woman, after vetting by a committee drawn from the Ministry of Local Government, the Public Services Commission, and the Local Government Service. Those 3 will then be candidates for election as district chief executive or municipal or metropolitan chief executive. The government has also accepted a recommendation on dual citizenship. A citizen of Ghana by birth who holds the citizenship of another country will no longer be barred from contesting for election to Parliament only on account of his or her dual citizenship, and will not be required to renounce the other citizenship. The current disqualification sits uneasily with our engagement with the diaspora and with the realities of modern citizenship.
Let's have a conversation. General Secretary for People's National Convention, PNC, Awudu Shak, has joined me on Zoom. Awudu, I'm sure you have some concerns about what the minister just said, but let's limit the conversation to the capping in Parliament to 300. What do you say to that?
Well, personally, I'm of the opinion that increasing the number of our parliamentarians to 300 places an additional burden on the public purse in terms of the resources we spend in catering for our parliamentarians. In fact, there have not been any scientifically proven study to show the nexus between what is being used to cater for our parliamentarians and the output of these parliamentarians as far as their core function of legislation is concerned. So to the extent that we are probably having to add 24 more seats to the House of Legislature to make it 300, for me is concerning on the part of the cost element. Beyond that, though I want to hold brief for the minister and the government for that matter, we're saying that they are yet to completely fashion out the modalities that would be used to select the other 24. I think that it is important for us to acknowledge the importance of having that so-called proportional representation, because we have a lot of marginalized groups in the country, talking about PWDs, talking about women, talking about the youth and other such groups. So to the extent that we would have a certain kind of arrangement in Parliament that would afford these people to be represented in Parliament and not having to depend on the parliamentary system as we have it now, would be quite encouraging. Beyond that, if we were to go to the district assemblies and you witness or see for yourself how the Disability Common Fund, for instance, is being utilized or is being disbursed, it leaves so much to be desired. If you look at the National Youth Policy, what ought to be done to cater for the needs and aspirations of young men in this country, it needs much more to be desired. Because, for instance, in the media review of the budget, we have been told that a certain amount of money, I've forgotten the exact amount, that was to be allocated for the youth activities of this country to the National Youth Authority or whatever other body it is, has not, as it were, been paid. But if all of these people had a direct voice in Parliament that would speak for them, that would articulate their issues, that would stand, that would ensure that their needs are always being captured, I think that it will go a long way to ensuring a certain kind of integration and then representation within Parliament.
Okay, thank you so much, Awudi Shak. He's the General Secretary for PNT, giving his thought on specifically the capping of Parliament to 300. But let's stay a little longer on this. Let's have a conversation with a governance expert, Frederick Ojo. He joins me on phone to have a conversation. Good to have you on the program. Let's start off with the 5-year presidential term. What are the possible drawbacks of this extension?
Well, for me, the possible drawback is the fact that this constitution is the most enduring of all the constitutions we've had in this country. We've called it the fourth Republican Constitution. So going back to the first 2 and 3, they were overthrown by military regimes. We've had this constitution since 1992, and so far it's worked for us. People may complain about inefficiencies of government, but there's always the expectation that, well, after all, there's going to be an opportunity sooner rather than later to vote on government. So if we're going to extend the tenure of presidents and members of parliament, I would call for hastening slowly, because I don't think that is what we need. I believe our governance system needs to be looked at again. There may be quite a number of things that are not working well for us. Let us fix those things rather than seek to fix the tenure of our presidencies and members of parliament.
So in your opinion, let's stick to the 4 years. Makes
I
sense.
think the 4 has served us very, very well. It has given us a democratic stability that we've never enjoyed in the history of this country. So if we are going to touch it, we should be very careful about touching it.
Okay. We spoke to General Secretary for PNC, who is entirely engaged against the capping of Parliament at 300 members. What do you say to that? What do you think of that?
I mean, I'm very surprised we are thinking of even increasing the number of members of Parliament in this country. Already, I think we have too many members of Parliament.
Already?
Just too many. Already, we have too many. Why should we increase that for? I totally disagree with increasing the number of members of Parliament in this country. If there could have been a system to even reduce it, I would be happier. So I am totally not in support of increasing the number of members of Parliament. We don't need it. And we should be very careful of also using the system of proportional representation to create a system of gerrymandering. Okay. Who is going to choose them? Who is going to influence the choice so that one party can use that system to increase its own representation in Parliament without putting them to a vote? I also think that's also another dangerous line of action we are trying to take.
Briefly, Mr. Ojo, what about the dual citizens, the ability to hold office now?
Well, that is one proposal I fully support.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for making time to speak with us. Frederick Ojo is a governance expert. Parliament has approved for the reintroduction of road and bridge tolls through a fully electronic collection system after approving a 20-year public-private partnership concession between the Ministry of Roads and Highways and a special purpose vehicle to be established by Rock Africa Limited. The agreement is expected to pave the way for the deployment of a nationwide digital tolling infrastructure aimed at mobilizing revenue for road development while eliminating the long queues and traffic congestion associated with the former manual toll collection system. The approval followed consideration of a report by Parliament's Roads and Transportation Committee, with members of Parliament debating the merit of restoring toll collection, which was suspended in November 2021. Government has argued that the digital platform will improve efficiency, reduce revenue leakages, and provide a more reliable source of funding for the maintenance and expansion of Ghana's road network, while offering motorists a seamless travel experience. President Mahama and Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman has led a government delegation to pay final respect to the late Ambassador James Victor Gbehu at a state funeral in Accra. At the event, Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa announced plans to name a facility in the ministry's new ministerial block after the former Foreign Affairs Minister and ECOWAS Commission President. According to Ablakwa, the decision was taken jointly with the management of the ministry to immortalize Ambassador Gbehu, which he described as one of the most distinguished in Ghana's diplomatic history.
Recognition of Ambassador Gbeho's remarkable service and contribution to the nation, I, along with the management of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, have decided to name one of our facilities in our new ministerial block after him to immortalize his memory. Ghana has lost an exceptional statesman. Africa has lost a devoted peacemaker. And this ministry has lost one of his finest sons. Though he has now gone to rest, his voice will never be silent. It will continue to echo throughout the ages. His counsel lives on in the diplomats he mentored, the institutions he strengthened, and the peace he helped to advance.
Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department, COP Lydia Donko, has cautioned the public to be wary of digital platforms as they are increasingly becoming a hub for perpetrators of human trafficking. At a national symposium commemorating the 2026 World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, she explained that perpetrators are increasingly using social media, smartphones, and encrypted messaging platforms to identify, recruit, and exploit victims.
To the commemoration of the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons and the 20th anniversary of Ghana's Human Trafficking Act, COP Lydia Donko said traffickers now rely on fake job offers, scholarships, educational programs, entertainment opportunities, domestic work, and travel arrangements as bait to trap victims.
In 2025 alone, the Anti-Human Trafficking Unit at the CID headquarters received 127 cases, rescued 1,202 victims, sent 19 cases to court, and secured 8 convictions. Through sustained national efforts and partnerships, Ghana has maintained its Tier 2 ranking in the U.S. Department of State's Trafficking in Persons reports. However, trafficking is becoming increasingly sophisticated. Traffickers are no longer relying only on physical recruitment. They are using social media, smartphones, digital platforms, and encrypted messaging services to identify, recruit, and exploit victims across borders.
The Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection stressed the need for stronger collaboration between government and the media in the fight against human trafficking.
You cannot, as a ministry, say that you will not build the capacity of those who need to send the information out there. When it comes to education, information dissemination, sensitization and all that, it's the media that will have to support the ministry and other stakeholders in doing that. And you cannot give out what you don't have. And so we work with the media. We've been advertising, we've been speaking against human trafficking, trafficking in persons, and so on and so forth. So we can't do this job without the efforts and support of the media.
More than 1,200 victims of human trafficking were rescued through the CID's Anti-Human Trafficking Unit in 2025. In some cases, children and other vulnerable persons were taken from their communities under the guise of providing them with better opportunities, but end up in situations of forced labor and other forms of exploitation.
The national president of the Union of Professional Nurses and Midwives Ghana, Maxwell Ojoyeboah, is urging the government and health sector employers to honor agreements reached with nurses and midwives, warning that the continued failure to do so is undermining trust, lowering staff morale, and fueling the migration of skilled health professionals. Mr. Ojoyeboah made the appeal at a debate organized by the Volta Regional Branch of the Union in Ho.
The conference was held under the theme Forging a Healthy Employer-Employee Relationship for Optimum Productivity and Job Satisfaction, a Shared Responsibility. It brought together nurses, midwives, and other stakeholders to discuss challenges confronting the profession and also explore practical solutions to improve healthcare delivery. The Volta Regional Chief Nursing and Midwifery Officer, Faustina Santi, commended nurses and midwives in the region for their dedication and resilience in delivering healthcare services, particularly during the recent industrial action and the floods that affected parts of the region. Speaking to our news team in an interview, The national president of the union, Maxwell Oduro-Yeboah, noted that improving the conditions of service and also fostering healthy employer-employee relationships are essential to ensuring quality healthcare delivery across the country.
Just has to come to our aid and ensure that we get the logistics we need. We need better conditions of service. You heard a nurse at the program talk about the conditions they go through at Nkwanta, where night shift starts at 4 p.m. This same nurse, the colleague starts night shift around 7:30, 8 p.m. at another place. But with the employer coming in saying that, okay, you're going to get additional incentives for the extra services that you're rendering, you're going to get the best out of these people. And they are.
The chief of Millennium City at Gomwa Bantama, Awisi Amweni, has issued a 1-week ultimatum to the Gomwa East District NADMU coordinator to demolish all buildings earmarked for demolition in the area. The ultimatum follows the partial demolition of the chief's own residence, with the remaining portion of the building still marked for demolition. While addressing the media, Awisi described the exercise as selective and urged NADMU to apply the law fairly and consistently.
He expressed concern over what he described as selective enforcement, insisting that if the demolition exercise is intended to enforce planning and safety regulations, then every structure marked for demolition should be removed within 1 week. According to him, demolishing some buildings while leaving others untouched raises suspicion and undermines public confidence in the exercise.
Crony na shabi so na me di hene so enye nne ona bona na kom me bu me respect na wode ne kwasu papa yeso wode aduma no papa ye gine wachi ade asa me di why we area ha no me de me se one ye aduma papa no hide on to aso na de wa church ho ni o me den omna mebu.
Awisi Amweni also commended the Central East Regional Police Command for maintaining peace and order throughout the demolition exercise. He noted that the professionalism and presence of the police helped prevent any potential disturbances in the community.
Since police command over Kaswa Central East, this is what you want. Papa me bona baso okore ni ma obe tufo we sabsabu ni miasa ko apra obe kase obe mu say yes tun fi wo bon ho bona wa ni so be so iden action so share police don't say
officials of the Gomwa East District NADMU are yet to officially respond to the chief's ultimatum.
Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice GHOne Kulendi, has urged law students and young lawyers to uphold morality, integrity and professional ethics as they prepare to join Ghana's legal profession. He says legal knowledge must be matched by strong moral values to ensure justice is served with fairness and credibility. Justice Kulendi was speaking at a lecture program at the University of Ghana.
Ghana Law Alumni Lecture Series brought together members of the legal profession, academics, students, and alumni to reflect on the developments of law and responsibilities of lawyers in society. Speaking to students, Supreme Court Justice GHOne Kulendi stressed the importance of morality in the practice of law. According to him, lawyers play a critical role in upholding justice and protecting the rule of law, making integrity an essential part of their professional conduct.
If justice ultimately belongs to the people, then the effectiveness of our justice system cannot be assessed by constitutional ideals alone. Judicial independence, the rule of law, and access to justice remain indispensable principles, but they must also find practical expression in the everyday experiences of those who come before the courts. Indeed, morality has not just a place, but a very central place in the law. In legal theory, that whole notion of natural law, the jurisprudence that animates and drives it, is jurisprudence of morality, rightness, propriety, what is desirable for the human species.
Also speaking at the lecture, Justice Dennis Ajay, a justice of the Supreme Court, highlighted the significance of the evolution of the legal profession over the years.
The true measure of a legal education system lies not in the number of lawyers it produces, but in the unyielding quality, integrity, and competence of justice itself. The history of legal training from the time of colonization through post-independence has been a continuous process of learning, adaptation, and reform to meet the needs of the people at any point in time.
The lecture also provided an opportunity for the University of Ghana School of Law to deepen engagement between its alumni and current students. Dean of the Faculty of Law, Professor Peter Tupare, said plans are underway to establish a structured alumni platform to strengthen collaboration, mentorship, and professional networking among graduates of the faculty.
From next year, we shall begin a standing series of colloquium for and on the questions actually pressing upon our profession, among them a corporate law forum and a mentorship platform for younger practitioners. We are working to have attendance credited towards continuing professional development points. We shall bring our alumni in active practice into the making of our curriculum. Roscoe Pound handed this profession a distinction more than a century ago that it has never managed to shake off. And that is the law in books and the law in...
The maiden alumni lecture series forms parts of efforts by the University of Ghana Law Faculty to connect generations of legal professionals while exposing students to practical lessons from experienced members of the profession.
You're still watching news from here on GHOne Television. We'll be back with business.
The Business Brief is brought to you.
In business, the new Cocoa Board law of 2026 is set to give a major boost to cocoa production nationwide. Passed by Parliament a day before the House rises, the law guarantees cocoa farmers at least 70% of the world market price. According to government, the move aims to provide better conditions for farmers and reward their hard work. There is more.
Thursday, July 30, Deputy Finance Minister Thomas Nyaku Ampim outlined the purpose of the bill to Parliament. The legislation formally designates the Ghana Cocoa Board as the statutory authority tasked with regulating, supervising, and monitoring every stage of the cocoa value chain. He noted that under the new law, Cocoa Board will be required to back cocoa farming, manage the purchase, sale, and export of beans, and drive industrialization through increased local processing. The law also creates a firm legal basis for the Producer Price Review Committee and its technical bodies, ensuring a more transparent and structured approach to setting farm gate prices. This bill introduces a new financing structure that will enable Cocoa Board to raise funds domestically to buy cocoa from our farmers. It also creates new provisions to make beans accessible to local processors. Farmers are now guaranteed at least 70% of the FOB price for cocoa. The law further seeks to safeguard cocoa farms and the environment, he stated. To tackle the persistent compliance issues, the bill gives legal backing to regulatory measures that were previously enforced only through administrative directives. This now include rules on fumigation, quality control checks, service fees, cocoa evacuation procedures, and certification standards, all of which will carry strong legal weight. The legislation further addresses years of inconsistent oversight by placing Cocoa Board squarely under the Ministry of Finance. This move gives statutory recognition to the government's March 2025 decision to shift supervision from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
Away from that, earlier this week, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, and the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council met with the Transport Minister to discuss transport fares. The meeting was, however, put on hold as the unions and other stakeholders agreed to await the outcome of the next petroleum pricing window before taking a decision on fares. Energy market watchers are now projecting significant increases in petroleum product prices, citing rising international market prices and pressure on the Ghana cedi. According to the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, petrol prices are expected to increase by between 4.89% and 7.58%. Diesel could see a steeper rise of between 5.64% and 12.50%, while liquefied petroleum gas is projected to increase by between 3.44% and 3.13%. COPEC attributes the anticipated increases to development on the international petroleum market and the performance of the Ghana cedi against the US dollar. We are joined by the Deputy Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRT, Samuel Amwa. Samuel, good afternoon. What does GPRTU make of the possible increase in petroleum prices come tomorrow?
All right. Thank you for having me on the show. Good afternoon to you and then your listeners and viewers. Yes, this issue of upward adjustment of the petroleum product again is something that we are not taking it easy at all. The reason being that after our engagement with the transport industry, we were told that hopefully they are working on things to make sure that the fuel prices will come down. That is why we suspended the 30% proposal increment. But then, for us to hear that it's possible to go up again, there is nothing for us to do than also to come up with.
Samuel, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm saying that we are waiting to see the reflections at the pump. All right. So I believe maybe by tomorrow we will see the increment at the pump. So when it happens like that, the union will have it. Then we'll decide on what to do. But I believe that from how things are going, it's going to increase. It will be very, very difficult on the side of our drivers.
So you're sticking, if the pumps reflect this increase, you're sticking to the 30% you initially stated.
Actually, the first 30% was just a proposal,
Okay.
Every time we want to increase that, we first come up with a proposal. We transport ministry, we negotiate, then at the end of the day, we arrive at, whatever we agree upon. Then we'll sign a communique, we'll distribute to our drivers to comply with. So I cannot boldly say that it's the 30% we are going to use. But after the increment reflects at the pump, we'll meet, then we'll make a decision.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Samuel Amwa, for giving us an update on what they intend to do. Let's still stay on business because women's inclusion in Ghana's economy is receiving renewed attention, with stakeholders calling for stronger financial and business support for women entrepreneurs to help them grow and expand their enterprises. In a speech read on her behalf at the 2026 CBG Women in Trade Conference and SME Fair in Accra, Minister for Gender, Dr. Agnes Namamulati, said government is taking steps to strengthen support for women's economic empowerment. There is more in this report.
2026 CBG Women in Trade Conference and SME Fair in Accra Stakeholders from government, banking, and the private sector highlighted the need to deepen women's inclusion in finance, trade, and decision-making to help unlock the full potential of women-led businesses. From clothing and fashion to food, beauty products, and other locally made goods, women entrepreneurs showcased their businesses at the 3-day fair organized with support from Consolidated Bank Ghana, focusing on creating practical opportunities for women-led businesses to access finance, build capacity, and grow sustainable businesses. Managing Director of Consolidated Bank Ghana, Dr. Naomi Wolali-Kwete, speaking at the event, said women are key drivers of economic growth, innovation, and national development, and therefore CBG is committed to going beyond traditional banking by providing financial support and opportunities to help women-owned businesses start, grow, and succeed.
We firmly believe that women are key drivers of economic growth, innovation, and national development. Their success transcends into stronger families, thriving businesses, and more resilient communities. At CBG, we are committed to be more than just a financial institution. We strive to be a trusted partner, providing the financial support, tools, and opportunities that empowers women-owned businesses.
According to the Executive Director of APN, Dr. Gladys Nkrumah, the initiative has evolved over the years from a simple conviction into a broader movement focused on giving women access to trade opportunities, capital, and practical business support.
6 years ago, we began this journey with a simple conviction. When women have access to trade opportunities, capital, and practical support, the whole community thrives. Today, this conviction has grown into a movement powered by resilience, creativity, and the resolve of women across Ghana and the African continent. Our goal today is practical and bold: to map new paths, unlock capital, and equip women entrepreneurs with the tools they need to grow sustainable enterprises.
Representing the Gender Minister, Nellie Bernice Wallace, said government is also strengthening the legal and institutional framework for women's participation in leadership and decision-making. She highlighted.
That's it for business.
The Business Brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
And on the international front, Pretoria called for an Africa-wide conference to address migration on the continent after weeks of deadly anti-migrant violence and tensions over undocumented foreign workers in South Africa. The meeting would revisit a decade-old African Union decision to tackle migration as an issue of economic development, regional integration, peace, and governance. It would also address the root causes of anti-migrant sentiment and develop a continent-wide response to xenophobia, discrimination, and violence. Although Africa has participated in discussions on migration with other regions of the world, the continent has yet to convene a comprehensive forum of its own at which member states can collectively examine Africa's migration challenges and opportunities. More than 100,000 people have left in recent weeks, according to an AFP tally based on figures provided by African countries that have repatriated their nationals. At least 4 migrants have been killed in the violence, according to the South African police, though some foreign governments say the death toll is higher. Well, Ghana has been an outspoken critic of the fatal attacks and has called on African Union debate on anti-migrant violence at the next AU summit early next year.
The European plan that referred...
And that brings us to the end of Newsroom here.